Hello, hello, lovelies. It is Kate here, and welcome back to the Doing It Online podcast. I have a special treat for you this week. So, you probably saw in the previous weeks that we ran a live event, and it's the first live event I've done in years, but we ran a live online event called ckwithable Live, and it was a 3-day event. It was super value packed. We've had such amazing feedback, and because of how many value bombs there were inside that 3 days, I've decided just for you, for our amazing podcast listeners, I'm going to share the 3 most valuable ahas that were from that event. So these are things that had the comments blowing up that people have been DMing us about. And today, I hope you've got a pen and paper ready, because today is a really juicy one. I'm going to show you a really simple tactic that you can literally go and do this afternoon or whatever time it is where you are. It'll take you maybe, 30 minutes, but it's going to be something that can really shift how you are selling and how well you are selling in the current economy. So super powerful stuff, guys. I hope you are ready to go. Grab that pen and let's dive right on in. Secret number 2, you need to learn to speak their language. So when it comes to marketing and marketing that is successful, so we were kind of talking about the audience there, like how you actually get, in front of these people. But now that you're in front of them, how do you make it so they pay attention to you? How do you make it so that they don't just pay attention to you, but they remember you? And that is, as I said, learning to speak their language, using their actual words. Like one of the most useful things that you can do, and a lot of people really hesitate to do it, is to have built into your business. So you can do this in a couple of different ways, but basically if you can have it as something that's just automated and it happens, but have it built into your business where you are surveying your audience at certain points as much as possible. And there's different ways of doing this. You can do this by actually just sending out a survey, like once a year, send a survey out to your list. And I would send out to list, if you have an email list and you have been doing some tagging and things, I would send one survey to your customers, so people who bought from you in the past, and one survey to your non-buyers, to the rest of your list, asking them about what are they struggling with right now? What are the things that they've tried that hasn't worked? What do they think the roadblocks are that are stopping them from getting their results? What are their goals? You want to know this, and you don't just want them to tick a box. You want them to tell you in their own words. So that's option number 1, is going out and doing a survey, and have it as something that's a recurring task in your business, that once a year you do this survey. And it could even be something that becomes a bit of an event. Maybe you connect it up with some kind of giveaway. Quite often you do need to incentivize people to spend 2-3 minutes of their time giving you information. So just, that can obviously help you to get the responses in the first place. But if you get enough answers, you can then share some of those results with your audience, and it can make some really great content. Say, 50% of my clients said this, or, that can be just another place to get content from. That's a sidebar. I won't go down that one too far. The other thing you can do is have it actually built into your system. So, and we have this actually in a few different places. So one place we have is whenever anybody grabs one of our opt-in bribes lead magnets, we have a drop-down box asking them a simple question. Now, obviously that's not in their words, but it gives us really good data, a key point for our audience. We can say, okay, well, we know that 80% of our audience does this and 20% does this. And then that helps to be able to, when you're coming up with content, when you're coming up with, whether you're tweaking your offers or thinking of new ways to get out there and be talking about your offers, having those data points is really useful. We also, anytime someone joins a program, we ask them a few questions. So it gives us some really great information. Anytime someone finishes a program, we ask them questions. I love being able to dig in and have this as a resource and be able to see, particularly over time, because things do change, what are people saying now and how are they saying it? Now, for anyone who is on this, who is just getting started and is well, that's all well and good, but I don't have a list to survey yet, you can also go out there and just put your detective hat on, basically. Go and have a look at online accounts who have a similar audience to you. Read the comments, see what they're saying. Jump into Facebook groups and Reddit threads, and depending on how nerdy your audience is, Telegram groups or whatever, wherever they're hanging out, Discord chats and see like what are the questions people are asking, and then what is the advice that other people are giving, and like read the conversations, because those are your clients and that's them using their actual words. And you want to have a document somewhere in your business where you actually copy and paste phrases that people have said verbatim. You know, one of the things that, again, we tend to do, particularly if we've been in our space, in our area of expertise for a long time, is we have our own way, our own vernacular, our own way of saying things. And the way that we say it is generally not the way that our clients say it. So you want to make sure that anytime you're creating content, writing sales pages, writing emails, whatever it is, when you are talking about their frustrations, their pain points, their goals, their aspirations, you want to be using their exact words if you can. I've seen this actually make such a huge difference, even on things like opt-in bribe or lead magnet landing pages. Like that headline, if you can put that in, like literally a word for word of a common frustration. One example that I used quite a bit was back, a million years ago when I was a blogger. We had an opt-in bribe because conversion rate was through the roof. It was crazy high. And it was a wardrobe organization guide kind of thing. And the headline was, wardrobe full of clothes, nothing to wear. And we found like that was the words that people kept saying when they were talking about like their frustrations with knowing how to wake up and dress themselves in the morning. And we tested it against a bunch of different headlines, like, free 101 page guide, or learn how to dress yourself in 20 minutes a day. Like we tested a whole bunch of different ones, but putting it in that thought that they have themselves, made them go, oh my gosh, yes, that's me. This is therefore for me. And it just got so much better cut through. Another piece of unofficial homework for you. What do your clients call themselves, like as a group? So I'm the queen of a tangent. I was at a conference recently, and we're Hello Funnels. We're all about funnels. And for me, funnels, like what a funnel is, has one meaning. And I went to this conference of all like dude marketers, and I ended up having not a mean argument, but just like a debate with a group of them about what actually funnels meant. And they all thought funnels meant something different. Like they all had their own definition. And I went, oh, whoops. If the word funnels means so many, like I thought that was pretty self-explanatory, but it means different things to different people based on how long they've been in the industry, the type of business that they have. I was like, we're going to start really making sure we're doing some education content so that people understand when we say funnels, what we mean. So really important. There's a few little pieces of unofficial homework for you and one piece of real homework for you. And that is, after this session, I want you to go away. I said, if you've done any recent surveys, go through it. If you haven't, just go start getting stalky online. But I want you to come up with what I call the big three. So this is in your audience's exact own words, but what are the top three pain points, frustrations, or like dream outcomes that your dream client is currently on their mind? Like if they were to sit down and go, what are the three things you want to happen next with your health? What's the number one thing you think is stopping you from getting where you want to go? And now, again, depending on your audience and depending on you and how you market, you'll notice that different people tend to lean more towards either what I would call towards or away from messaging. So towards messaging resonates with some people better than away from. And what that means is that some people resonate more with when you talk about like outcomes and goals and achieving this and big successes. And that will sort of make them go, oh, yes, like they're definitely more towards motivated. Other people are more away from motivated. They're just like, I'm in pain. I want to get away from that pain. So all I want to know is like how to quickly stop this, how to get from here to here, how to never have to do this thing again. So there's no right or wrong here. My personal sort of philosophy with these things is that I find usually our clients tend to be people who resonate with us. And usually they resonate with us because the way that we speak about things is the way that they think about things. So if you are naturally yourself more of an away from person, or when you speak about it, you find that, then that's totally fine. You might want to maybe mix that up. If you find you aren't converting as well as you'd like, maybe have a little bit of a sprinkle, make one of your big three definitely a towards and one more of an away, and then leave the other one to be whatever makes the most sense for you. But as I said, what I want you to do is come up with like those three talking points, those three pillars, those big three things that are important to your clients right now. And if you already have done some work around this, like maybe you go, I've got my content pillars, I've done this before, I would encourage you to do it again based on what they're talking about now, because it has shifted. And this is going to be really impactful if you are able to find out, like, what are those big three most important things to my audience now in their own words that they're using today versus what they were using 18 months ago. Just making that simple tweak when you are coming up with content, sharing things online, when you are going through and looking at sales pages and how you make your offers, all that stuff, which we'll talk about in later days. Super, super important. So that's a big homework. Come up with your big three for each. And then if you want extra credit, is to think about an opt-in bribe or lead magnet that you could possibly tie to each one of those pillars. And maybe it's something you've already got, or maybe it's something you're like, you know what? I think this is a really important point and I don't actually have anything on this. So I'm going to put that on my to-do list to go and create some kind of lead magnet that ties in with this. And I want to also share quickly when we're talking about lead magnets, because again, I think this is something I think that a lot of people get tripped up on, but it's what I would call the 20-minute rule. So when you are coming up with a lead magnet or an opt-in bribe, basically it's the freebie thing that when you go out there and ask people, say, hey, I've got this cool freebie, and people come, they'll give you their email address. And then in return for that email address, you send them out something that is digital, but it's something that can be delivered en masse. So my 20-minute rule when it comes to lead magnets is, particularly if you have an offer to sell in the back end, whether that is done through launches or done through funnels or done through a combo of both, is that whatever that free thing is should take no more than 20 minutes for them to consume. So I know a lot of people think that more is more when it comes to offering free value. And the kind of fact is that if you go and go, oh, I've got this like free course and it's like 16 hours long, two things will most likely happen. One, yes, you probably will get a lot of people signing up for it, although also these days people tend to prefer things that are short and sweet to super long anyway. But what happens is, first, it becomes too much for them to consume. So the likelihood of them consuming it goes down. And because they haven't actually paid for it, they don't value it enough to invest the time to go all the way through it. And where this actually bites you in the ass when it comes to making your offers is that if whether it's they join your list and 2 months later you're making them an offer during a live promotion, or whether they're going through some kind of warm-up sequence and you've got an offer there, is that if they haven't consumed this first thing because they were never going to, because they didn't value it enough and it seemed like a lot and overwhelming, then I'll come back to that later, is that when it comes to seeing your paid offers, they're like, that sounds great, but I've still got this other homework from them that I need to do. And I haven't done that yet. So I need to make sure I do the free thing first and finish that before I come and buy. So that can be just making that switch to your lead magnets and making sure that they can be consumed in 20 minutes or less. Quite often I've seen people like flick that switch and their conversions for the sales that happen after go way, way up. So that's a 20-minute rule. All right, this is secret number 3. And this one, even though I know it annoys people sometimes, but it is 100% true, and it is a game changer if you can figure out how to do it in your business. And I would almost want to like put this the other way around and say, like, this is probably the number one of the 3 things. But if you can always afford to pay for your customers, you will always be able to make sales. So what I mean by this is, if you can, because you have set up in your business offers that sell with ease and that sell profitably, and systems that sell reliably, so that you know with confidence how much you can spend to get a new customer, and you can actually spend a decent amount of money, and amount of money that means that you're going to be able to go out into this marketplace of paid ads and do that over and over and over again, then it really doesn't matter what else is happening. Like, social media could crash and burn, although there goes our Facebook ads, but there are other ways of doing paid ads, right? Your account could get shut down. Your email account could get hacked. All kinds of crazy things can happen, and you will still be able to make sales. And I'm not saying this to make anyone go, oh, but I don't have a budget, shit, it's no good. No, I want you to know, like, this is the end goal. This is what we are working towards. This is what spending the time to make sure that you've got the right offers, which we're going to talk about tomorrow, that you've got the right sales systems in place, that you know your numbers. Like having those pieces in place will mean that you will go, great, I know it cost me $150 to make a sale of a $500 program, which means I'm going to get, check my math, $350 back. And if I know that I'm happy to do that over and over and over again, then great. And go, even, if the market, something crazy happened and it went up to $250 for a few months, I'd still be okay with that, So it's knowing that stuff, having that in place, that is going to give you like one of the highest levels of certainty that you can have in an online business. So as I said, this is not necessarily something you need to do now or tomorrow, but just know like that is the goalpost. So what does this look like? I want to share a couple of stories of some of our amazing clients. So this looks like going from 3K months to 30K months by putting these pieces into place and then being able to, harness the power of paid ads as a strategy and do it profitably. It's what, it looks like to triple your sales in 30 days because you had the right pieces in place and you were able to pull the levers. And I just also want to say here that it's not just about paid ads. Like obviously that's the dream scenario. Some businesses and some price points, it does get trickier. So then there is other free strategies that you can lean on, but they just have a little bit of usually a longer ramp up time and a little bit less control. Doesn't mean you can't do it, just means that it's, you need to learn a couple of different strategies, if that makes sense. And another wonderful example, our amazing client, Colleen, who also was able to triple her revenue by putting these in place and getting that level, having that right offer, having that right system to sell, and then knowing how to pull those levers. So questions, guys. Happy to answer any and all questions that you guys might have. Awesome. Okay, great question. So Lauren says, how do you see live free events as opt-ins? The difference I would say with something that's live is that because it has also got the FOMO factor and that sort of like community factor of people going through and doing something together, and the fact that usually whatever offer is made at the end has a true and hard deadline. Like I think that if done right, again, you don't want to be like overwhelming and over teaching. You need to still make sure that, and I find that it's a very delicate dance, right? Trying to figure out that balance when you're going, all right, I'm going to be showing up a lot, giving a lot of value, and then making an offer. How can I make sure that I'm doing this enough? So when it comes to anything live, particularly when it's, people are potentially coming in completely cold, you want to make sure that a lot of it there is that sort of, it's about the connection, it's about the engagement, it's about them seeing you as an expert, you as somewhere with something, different to offer. And then also obviously giving them some takeaways, some tangibles, some things that they can go and do. But it's a bit of a fine dance. And it's one I say that's probably not my area of my strong point, because I am an over deliverer to a fault. It doesn't matter if I go and write out like a lesson plan and went and then deleted like 90% of it, I would still probably over deliver. But I've sort of given up trying to fight that. That is kind of my natural way of being. And I like to look at anything live now through the lens of like, how can we show up? How can we connect? How can we give value? And I'm less concerned. I don't go, all right, and then on day 5, I want this conversion. On day 6, I want that conversion. It's more like, this is my touch point for a community. And I believe that if I show up, if I create those connections, then the right people, when they're ready, will jump in. So with the live event stuff, I would probably try and do the 20-minute rule as far as your, like, as a limit for yourself each day for as much as you were teaching. Like if you can try and keep it short and snappy, that's probably going to be to your benefit. And then maybe like the actual teaching portion, like on the 20 minutes, and then having Q&As or asking questions or just really engagement type of stuff beyond that. But again, like I like break all my own rules on these things all the time. I make these rules, I break them all the time, but I definitely do know that when we can, try and contain ourselves in there, and it's a rule of thumb, if it's 22 minutes, don't beat yourself up on it. But you just don't want to be having something that's like hours of content or 100-page ebooks or anything like that. And I think the other thing with the 20-minute rule, even more so these days, is people are so busy and they're so used to everything like being TikTok style, like under 60 seconds, that actually people see something that's a long video and they're like, ooh, I don't want to watch that, it's too hard. So it's going to work for you on both of those ways. Thank you so much, guys, for jumping on live. I hope to all see you same time tomorrow. Have an awesome rest of your day, guys. Bye.